welcome to today's video lecture. In today's video lecture, I'll be solving previous year's NEET questions and discussing the answers. And this is for the chapter Human Health and Diseases. And we are in part 5 of the series. If you haven't watched part 1 to 4, please do so. The links will be there in the description box below. Okay, so let's begin. Alright, so question number 1. The blood cancer is known as, and this appeared in the year 1995, A. Hemolysis, B. Hemophilia, C. Leukemia, D. Thrombosis. Okay, so blood cancer is known as C. Leukemia. Okay, answer is C, and then let's understand leukemia. So leukemia is a malignant disorder. Okay, it's a malignant cancer of the hematopoietic stem cells. Okay, and it is associated, of course, with the increase in number of white blood cells. So if there's a high number of white blood cells from the bone marrow or in the peripheral blood, then that is leukemia. Okay. So there are, this is just extra information for you guys. Factors that are associated with development of leukemia. And there are various factors, so you can go through them. There is exposure to ionizing radiation. That's one factor. Cytotoxic chemicals that can cause leukemia or induce leukemia. Genetics also play a role to a certain extent, and there's occurrence is higher in males than in females. A rare form of T-cell leukemia is associated with retroviral infection, and this immune deficiency also causes a high risk for hematologic malignancy. So these are just some factors that I've noted down so that for you guys, so you can understand leukemia a little better and why it is caused and why is it developed. But to answer your question, yes, blood cancer is called leukemia. Okay, so if you ever get a question like that, you can answer it. Okay, this was a pretty straightforward question, nothing much to do. Let's move on to the next question then. Alright, so question number 2. A metastatic cancerous tumor is termed sarcoma if the disorder is and this appeared in the year 1994, A. Fibroblasts, B. Circulatory system, C. Immune system, D. Epithelial cells. So I think we discussed carcinoma and sarcoma last time, right? So sarcoma is the disorder will be there if it is in fibroblasts. Okay, so sarcoma is a tumor for connective tissue. We'll come to that in a while. So the answer is A. Okay, let's go to the discussion. So sarcoma is a malignant cancer of bones and soft connective tissues. Now, these soft connective tissues could include fat tissues, muscles, tendons, lymph, blood vessels, and nerves. Okay. So if a sarcoma occurs in fibroblast, where a tumor grows. Okay. So if in the fibroblast a tumor grows there, it's called sarcoma. All right. Understood? This was also again straightforward. I would suggest you note down the difference between carcinoma and sarcoma, because if they ever ask you, you know the answer directly. Okay, so it's a pretty direct question, but it's just that you need to know the fact. That's all. Alright, so let's move on. Okay, so question number 3. Drug called heroin is synthesized by, this appeared in NEET 2019, pretty recent. A. Nitration of morphine, B. Methylation of morphine, C. Acetylation of morphine, D. Glycosylation of morphine. So heroin is synthesized by C. Acetylation of morphine. All right. So the answer is C. This is also there in your NCERT. So it's very, very important. You need to know every drug that is written there about, and how it is formed, from where, what is the source, where does it occur from, all of that. Okay, so heroin is synthesized by acetylation of morphine. Go back and read NCERT, you will get your information there. Okay, this was also again pretty direct, right? Yes, yeah. So morphine is extracted from the latex of the poppy plant, Papaver somniferum. So this is the plant from which you get morphine, And so heroin is synthesized by the acetylation of morphine. Okay, so first you get morphine from the plant, the poppy plant, and then after that you have to do acetylation of that morphine to get heroin, which is a illegal drug. So because it has very bad effects. Another hint I can give you is, when you see, if you ever get confused or lost, what is papaver somniferum, what is associated, just connect morphine with drowsiness, sleepiness, because that's the effect of morphine. Okay, it's like a pain reliever. Okay, it relieves the pain, so it affects your brain. And it's an opioid. Okay, so there are opioid receptors present in the brain, and when this attaches to that, it causes sleepiness, drowsiness, and you feel very sleepy and nice, and very relaxed. So the latex of the poppy plant, that's Papaver somnifer, well, you get this morphine, right? Now somni is associated with sleep. Okay, it's the word associated with sleep. So if you ever see this word, connect that, like insomnia, the word insomnia is lack of sleep, right? So somni is like a hint. I'm just giving you a clue, a hint, if you ever get confused in the exam or anywhere in life. But if you see this word somniferum, you should associate that with morphine. Okay, so that's one way of remembering this. Okay, I guess I've answered the question. A drug called heroin is synthesized by acetylation of morphine. Yep. Okay, let's move on then. Okay, so question number 4. Which part of poppy plant is used to obtain the drug smack? Okay, this appeared in the year NEET 2018. A, flowers, B, latex, C, roots, D, leaves. Okay, so we've just discussed poppy plant before. It is B, latex. Answer is B. So I guess smack is another word. Smack is an informal term for heroin. Like a street name. So anyway, we are basically talking about, we see the latex of the poppy plant, that's Papaver somniferum. So you see this diagram here. It's taken from NCRT, so it should be familiar with you. Okay, they've given a diagram, a picture of the poppy plant. So morphine, we know, is extracted from the latex of the poppy plant. Oops. Sorry. Let's go back to the question. They've just mentioned poppy. Which part of the poppy plant? Yeah, latex. Okay, let's move on then. Okay, again, pretty simple. It's just that you need to know the word smack is like another word for heroin, but like they said poppy plant. So poppy plant, we're talking about Papaver somniferum, which is morphine, and from morphine you get heroin. All right, let's move on then. All right, so question number 5. Which is the particular type of drug that is obtained from the plant whose one flowering branch is shown here? Okay, and this appeared in the year 2014. So you have a picture of a flowering plant here. You have A, hallucinogen, B, depressant, C, stimulant, and D, painkiller. Now if you look at the image, it's taken directly from NCRT. So yeah, which is a particular type of drug that they're asking, right? So it is A, hallucinogen. Okay, answer is A. So the image is that of datura. Okay, and it has hallucinogenic properties. All right, so you see that image here. Okay, this is also again taken from NCRT, so you know what the drill is, right? You have to study all the diagrams that are present in the textbook for your exam, of course. All right, okay, so let's move on. Question number 6. Which one of the following is a hallucinogenic drug? Okay, this appeared in Karnataka NEET 2013. A, caffeine is not a hallucinogenic drug. B, morphine, no. C, lysergic acid. D, ethylamide, yes. D, opium, no. So hallucinogenic drug is C, which is popularly known as LSD. Okay, it's basically the short form. If you if you ever they ever ask you what the full form of LSD is, we know it's lysergic acid D-ethylamide. Okay, so this is basically the acronym is LSD. Your answer over here is C. All right, let's go to the discussion. So yeah, LSD, lysergic acid D-ethylamide, is the hallucinogenic drug. It causes hallucinations and you shouldn't be taking it. Okay, that is one big lesson that you should take from here, from this particular part of the chapter, that you should never do drugs. All right, so this is it. It's a hallucinogenic drug, please remember that. Okay, let's move on then. Question number 7. Cirrhosis of liver is caused by the chronic intake of, and this appeared in the year 2012, A. Opium, B. Alcohol, C. Tobacco chewing, D. Cocaine. So cirrhosis of liver is caused by the chronic intake of alcohol. When there's too much consumption of alcohol, this chronic intake of that product, it results in liver cirrhosis. All right. The answer is B. Let's understand cirrhosis of liver. So in chronic alcoholism, what happens is when you're taking alcohol every day and too much, in large amounts of it, the liver parenchymal cells are destroyed. Okay, so it affects the liver. Okay, so the liver cells are destroyed because of that, and they are replaced by fibrous tissue. So once they are replaced by fibrous tissue, liver can't do its job because the liver cells are destroyed. Right? Now what happens? This blocks the flow of blood through the portal vessels, and this is known as liver cirrhosis. Okay, so basically it's that. Now this block results in increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure. So once there's a block, obviously the hydrostatic pressure will begin to increase and results in increased filtration of fluid out of the plasma into the intra-abdominal area. Okay, so once the blood cannot flow, the capillary hydrostatic pressure will begin to increase, right? Pressure will increase here, so fluid will leak here into the intra-abdominal area. Okay, results in edema, and which is a very serious case. It's an indication of liver cirrhosis. So now also cirrhosis causes decreased production of plasma proteins. Obviously now liver is a very, very important organ of our body, and it produces lots of proteins too, right? So now if there is cirrhosis and the liver cells are destroyed and they're replaced by fibrous tissue, liver cells can't do their job of producing proteins. So there's a decreased production of plasma proteins, which results in lowered plasma colloid osmotic pressure. Okay. Now the combined effect of this lowered the colloid osmotic pressure, and there's an increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure, which then leaks the fluid into the intra-abdominal area. So basically colloid pressure is kind of maintaining that osmotic pressure that is there, right? We need proteins, okay, to maintain that osmotic pressure, that fluid exchange, that too much of fluid is not coming out. I think I've already discussed in body fluids and circulation. And just imagine if proteins were now decreased in amount, or almost absent, let's say, because of the liver cells completely being destroyed gradually, and and because of this blockage there is too much of hydrostatic pressure, and fluid is being leaked into the intra-abdominal area. Okay, it's a very dangerous situation. Now this combined effect leads to leakage of large amounts of fluid in the abdominal cavity, leading to edema. Okay, so your abdominal area becomes very big because there's too much fluid inside now, because now the liver is destroyed, right? So now there's blockage, and so now where does it go? Now the capillary hydrostatic pressure increases, there's decreased plasma protein also, it's not able to maintain that osmotic pressure, there is too much leakage of fluid into your abdominal area, and your abdominal area becomes big, and obviously that leads to edema. That's called edema. So to pump out that liquid from the abdominal area. So yeah, oops, sorry. So yeah, that's basically what liver cirrhosis means. Now, to answer your question, I guess we've answered that. Cirrhosis of liver, I've just explained what cirrhosis of liver is, so to help you better understand it. But this was a pretty direct question. So, if you see cirrhosis of liver, you should know that it's associated with chronic intake of alcohol. Okay, and so it is found in alcoholics. Obviously, A, C, and D don't fit into that answer or into the question. These answers don't fit into the question. They don't answer our questions. It is definitely B. Okay, I guess we can move on then. Question number 8. Identify the molecules A and B shown below and select the right option giving their source and use. So you have A and you have B. This appeared in mains 2012. So B is definitely cannabinoid. Okay, so if you look at option C, B is cannabinoid. Atropa belladonna is one of the sources of cannabis, and it produces hallucinations. Okay, Atropa belladonna is a plant. Okay, and it's there in NEET also, and NCRT, I'm sorry, in the NCRT textbook also. So please don't look lost. The same structure is given, the skeletal structure is given in NCRT, so you should know this. A, I believe, is cocaine. So A is cocaine, but it does not accelerate the transport of dopamine. It interrupts the transport of dopamine. So it's definitely not A. And the correct answer is C here. So the answer is C. Yeah, so this diagram is directly taken from NCRT. No excuses for not knowing that. So the skeletal structure of cannabinoid, and Atropa belladonna is another plant like datura that contains has hallucinogenic properties and hence produces hallucinations. Okay, it's another no. Shouldn't be taking hallucinogens or cannabis, and of course they have long-term health effects also. Yeah, I guess we've answered the question. The others don't fit into the answer and then into the questions. The answers don't fit into the questions, and I guess we can move on. Alright, so question number 9. Select the correct statement from the ones given below. This appeared in the year 2010. A. Barbiturates, when given to criminals, make them tell the truth. I doubt that. B. Morphine is often given to persons who have undergone surgery as a painkiller. Yes, morphine does play a very big role in pain relieving. C. Chewing tobacco lowers blood pressure and heart rate. No. D. Cocaine is given to patients after surgery as it stimulates recovery. No, definitely no. Okay, so the answer here, you have to choose the correct statement, right? So the answer here is B. Alright, so B. So you actually discussed morphine. It depresses the central nervous system as an effective sedative and painkiller and used in patients that have undergone surgery. Okay, so it helps in relieving pain, especially for patients that have undergone surgery. Okay, and yeah, I guess this was pretty direct. We already discussed morphine in a little detail, right, when we discussed heroin. So we can move on. Question number 10. Which one of the following statements is correct? So we are in 2009. A. Benign tumors show the property of metastasis. No. B. Heroin accelerates body functions. No. C. Malignant tumors may exhibit metastasis. Yes. D. Patients who have undergone surgery are given cannabinoids to relieve pain. No, we just discussed that. They're morphine. So the correct statement over here appears to be C. Okay, the answer is C. Let's go to the discussion. We discussed cancer in part 4. So you can go back and look at that video also. So cancer cells have the capacity to invade and travel to other regions of the body, which results in a malignant tumor. Okay, so malignant tumor can, result in metastasis, which then, begin to invade in other parts of the body and they move to other areas of the body and sit there. Okay, and begin to grow there. So yeah, that's called malignant tumor, and this capacity to invade and to move, this whole property of doing that to moving to other parts of the body is called metastasis. That's seen in malignant tumors. Okay, so I guess that was the appropriate answer for this question. Yeah, question number 10 is answered. We can move on then. Question number 11. Which one of the following is the correct statement regarding the particular psychotropic drug specified? Okay, this appeared in 2008. A. Morphine leads to delusions and disturbed emotions. B. Barbiturates cause relaxation and temporary euphoria. C. Hashish causes afterthought, perceptions, and hallucinations. D. Opium stimulates nervous system and causes hallucinations. So the correct statement regarding that is C. Yeah. So hashish causes afterthought, perceptions, and hallucinations. Okay, it's a type of hallucinogenic drug. It's also, these drugs are also the ones that affect our brain, like morphine and hashish and cocaine and all of these drugs are called psychotropic drugs. Okay, so they mess with your head. That's why you shouldn't be taking them, and obviously they have a very bad long-term effects also. They destroy your health, you destroy your body slowly and gradually, as in when you keep consuming them every time. All right, so that is why you should avoid that. So yeah, hashish causes afterthought, perceptions, and hallucinations. Answer is C. So hashish is a cannabinoid, okay, and it causes hallucinations. All right, remember this term. If you ever come across this term, you know that it's a cannabinoid and it causes hallucinations. All right, so the others obviously didn't fit into the question. The other answers, that's A, B, and D. So C is the appropriate answer for this question. Okay, let's move on then. Question number 12. A person showing unpredictable moods, outbursts of emotion, quarrelsome behavior, and conflicts with others is suffering from. This appeared in 2006. A. Addictive disorders. B. Schizophrenia. C. Borderline personality disorder. D. Mood disorder. Now, to answer this question, I would suggest you learn it as a fact that if you see these terms, unpredictable moods, outbursts of emotion, quarrelsome behavior, they all, the person is suffering from their symptoms of borderline personality disorder, BPD. Okay, so the option is C here. Let's go to the discussion, you'll understand this better. So BPD is associated with emotional instability, disturbed patterns of thinking, impulsive behavior, unstable relationships. So your mind, your brain is not stabilized, your emotions are not stabilized. So these are all borderline personality disorder symptoms. Okay, so yeah, sorry. So yeah, I guess just learn it as a fact if you come across these symptoms, because it's a very vague question and it's not really discussed much in NCRT. But yeah, mental health is obviously equally important in real life. But for your exam point of view, just understand that option C is the right answer for this. Okay, let's move on then. Question number 13. Which one of the following depresses brain activity and produces feelings of calmness, relaxation, and drowsiness? This appeared in 2005. A. Morphine, B. Valium, C. Amphetamines, and D. Hashish. So, it depresses brain activity and produces feeling of calmness, relaxation, and drowsiness. It could be either A or B, and I've done some research on this, and probably in this case, B is the right answer. It's Valium. Also, morphine. Morphine is also used as a sedative. Okay, Valium is not used as a sedative; it's used as an anti-anxiety medicine. Okay, by psychiatrists. Answer is B. Let's understand Valium in a little detail. So, Valium is a diazepam, okay, and is used to treat patients with anxiety, seizures, muscle spasm, and alcohol withdrawal. And it affects the CNS, obviously, the brain, and it depresses the brain activity. So a person feels very relaxed, calm, yeah, and obviously with seizures feels a little drowsy, sleepy. So Valium is a medicine that is used by psychiatrists to treat these patients. Okay, so Obviously, this is not used as a sedative or a pain reliever. Okay, the pain reliever is different. That's morphine. Okay, and so Valium, in this case, I guess Valium is the appropriate answer for this. Learn it as a fact. Obviously, this is not mentioned in NCRT, but if the NEET decides to mess around and toughen up the exam, they might ask you a question like this. Let me see which year it appeared in 2005, so that's way back. I don't know if they'll ask a question like this, in these times. Most of it is asked from NCRT. That's a rule, but yeah, obviously that's a written rule. But if they really want to, mess around, they might just give one question that is a little out of bounds. Okay, so let's move on. Question number 14. Which one of the following is correct match? This appeared in 2001. A. Rizerpine is a tranquilizer, which is correct. B. Cocaine, opiatic narcotic, no. C. Morphine, hallucinogenic, no. Bhang, analgesic, no, definitely no. So the correct match here is A. Okay, it's Rizerpine and it's a tranquilizer. Okay, let's understand this. So rezapine is used as a tranquilizer in animals mostly. Okay, it's not used in humans, but it's also used in humans to treat patients with high blood pressure. So in animals, for example, there's a horse which is very excited. Horse are used for racing and other competitions. Are very excited, and all of that. They use these tranquilizers to calm them down. But in humans, it is used as a medicine to treat patients with high blood pressure. Okay, so remember that rezapine is a drug which is used as a tranquilizer also. All right. Okay, but obviously, if you look at the other options, that's B, C, and D that didn't fit into the question. It's obviously A then, right? Okay, let's move on then. Question number 15. LSD. We just discussed LSD it's appeared in 2001. A. Hallucinogenic, B. Sedative, C. Stimulant, D. Tranquilizer. So LSD is a hallucinogenic. We just discussed that. Learn it as a rule, as a fact. Okay. So that's lysergic acid D-ethyl amide. LSD is the acronym for that. And it's a hallucinogenic drug. All right. Let's move on. This was pretty direct. Easy. Question number 16. Which of the following is an opiate narcotic? This appeared in 1997. A. Amphetamines, B. LSD, C. Barbiturates, and D. Morphine. Obviously, opiate narcotic is D. Morphine. You should know that. That's there in NCRT also, so no excuses for not knowing it, right? So the answer is D. Morphine. So morphine is an opiate narcotic. They're called opioids, and they're opioid receptors in our brain, and they attach to those receptors and they affect the brain. Okay, because it's drowsy, sleepiness, the pain relievers. They use as pain relievers for patients that have undergone surgery. Also, yeah. So morphine is an opiate narcotic. That answers our question. Okay, let's move on. Question number 17. Nicotine acts as a stimulant because it mimics the effect of, and this appeared in 1995, A. Testosterone, B. Dopamine, C. Thyroxine, and D. Acetylcholine. So nicotine acts as a stimulant because it mimics the effect of acetylcholine. This is actually a good question. Smiley face. Okay, you should know this. It's a very good question. This is factual based, but it's a good one. Answer is D. So nicotine behaves like acetylcholine. Okay, that's a property of nicotine, and when it is present in the body, it attaches to acetylcholine receptors present in motor end plate, which causes depolarization of the muscle fiber. So unlike acetylcholine, nicotine is not destroyed by cholinesterase. So in a normal acetylcholine, function which is released from the terminals at the synaptic end, cholinesterase then destroys the acetylcholine, right? But in nicotine, obviously that does not happen. It is seen in smokers, that people who consume tobacco. So nicotine is not destroyed by cholinesterase and hence causes state of muscle spasm, okay, which is not a good thing. Sorry. So this is one of the property of nicotine, and this is a good fact that you should know. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Question number 18. Opiate narcotic is, and this appeared in 1993. A. Bhang, no. B. Charas, no. C. Heroin, and D. Nicotine. So opiate narcotic is heroin. C. Okay. Answer is C. We already discussed heroin, morphine multiple times. So heroin is definitely an opiate narcotic, okay, and shouldn't be consumed. All right, let's move on. Question number 19. Analgesic drugs, this appeared in 1990, it's way back. A. Form tissues, B. Relieve pain, C. Relieve fatigue, D. Cause pain. No, analgesic drugs relieve pain, okay, they behave like painkillers, pain relievers. So answer is B. So analgesic drugs are pain reliever drugs, also called as painkillers, and they provide relief from pain. Okay, so learn this as a fact. They ever ask you. Alright, I guess we've answered this question. It was pretty direct, no? Relieves pain. Obviously A, C and D weren't the appropriate answers to those questions. Alright, okay, so we've come to the end of this video lecture, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video lecture, and I hope you learned something new today. I hope so. And please like, share and subscribe to MJ NEET Biology, and I'm also available on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so you can follow me there also for updates, and I'll see you in the next video lecture. Right, so bye.